All right, folks, we are back here on the Steve Malzberg Show, and today, a day that Secretary of State John Kerry, I still can't get used to that, signing the UN Arms Treaty, much to the chagrin of many concerned gun owners in this country, and much to the chagrin of the U.S. Senate, which would have to ratify such a treaty, and much to the chagrin of many in the House as well, including our guest, Congressman Mike Kelly, Republican from the great state of Pennsylvania. Hello, Congressman. How are you?
I'm great, Stephen. It's great to be on Newsmax Radio with you.
Well, thank you. It's my pleasure and honor to have you, sir. Okay, so talk about the significance of this treaty, the significance of Kerry putting his signature on it, and why this is a bad thing.
Well, I think when you look at what's happened today, and this is after repeatedly trying to get this through and then walking away from it. They walked away from it. I'm talking about, when I say they, the administration, in July of 2012, because there was a little thing called the election coming up. They abandoned their efforts to get it done then, and after the election this fall, in about the middle of November, they went back in earnest to try and get this done. Here's the problem. Here's the problem with this. There is no reason in the world for the United States, which has the strongest record of defending personal freedom and liberty, for being the defender of liberty throughout the world, why would we self-dilute our importance and our significance in the world by going to a group and saying, let's sit down with you and see if we can come up with something that makes sense for everybody? But in the long run, all it does is it hobbles us, and it keeps us from doing what we've always done in the past, Steve. We are walking away from what former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton called the gold standard when it came to arms trade. And she said back then, listen, there's a red line here. We're willing to sit down with you. We're willing to share what we have. But if we don't get total consensus, this is a treaty that's going nowhere. Now, total consensus in the UN means 100% buy-in. 100% buy-in. When they found out they couldn't get 100% buy-in, they said, well, maybe a majority would make sense. Listen, they keep watering things down. I don't know that there's such a thing in this administration as a true red line. I think it starts off as red and then it blurs into something that's almost unrecognizable whenever it doesn't go our way. And we have backed away from our responsibility and our role in the world. My goodness, think what our friends and our allies are wondering right now. Again, can I count on these people?
Well, Congressman, explain for those who don't understand. There are some who believe that this will lead to gun regulations in this country against gun owners. Obviously, you have a broader concern. So explain what your concern is if this were to ever be enforced, or how will it limit the United States? How would it affect the United States?
Here's what it does. It puts into play efforts by people who are not good people and abuse. I would you look around the world and find people who don't really defend human rights, and it puts them into play and to negotiate this. So what it does to us as a country, though, it starts to work on our sovereignty, our ability to handle things our way. It takes away from our Bill of Rights and our Constitution. Listen, there's nothing in there that specifically states that you will not have the ability to keep and bear arms. Now, there are those on the other side who say, oh, no, it doesn't mean that at all. You'll still be able to do that. And quite frankly, I think the nation is the nation it is, and the nation it has been in the past, because we understand when things are being taken away from us. We understand what the founders gave us when they gave us that Constitution, those Bill of Rights. Those are enshrined. Those are given to the people of the United States for now and forever. And for us to allow this to be watered down and diluted. Now, again, people are going to say, oh, no, we're trying to eliminate this gross peddling guns all over the world and people doing bad things with guns. What we're doing is we're going to sign on, and Mr. Kerry did it today. He signed on to a treaty that will only limit the good guys and will allow the bad guys to run forward. It's not a consensus agreement. And as Undersecretary of State at the time, Ellen Tosher had said, look, any treaty that doesn't have full consensus is worth nothing. This one does not have everybody on board. The bad guys aren't on. Russia and China aren't on.
Right. And let me make an analogy, if I may. Maybe it's a bad one. You tell me. But it kind of like the climate change, anything that's proposed at the UN, all these proposals that would put limits on us, but where the evolving nations such as India and China, they could keep polluting up the air all they want, but we would have to restrict our carbon output. I mean, it's kind of reminds me of that.
That's exactly what it is. That's like everybody agreed to go on a diet. But we can't go to McDonald's, but the other guys can.
Right.
Listen, we've done so many weak things, and we have, again, I can't stress this more than enough. whenever the strongest country in the world, a country with a history of defending personal freedom and liberties, allows itself to be gamed by a group of bad people and say, we'll follow the rules. We know you won't. And these people put their hand up. They sign their name to a piece of paper. It means absolutely nothing to them. My gosh, we just gave Russia, who supplies Syria with the most weapons, the ability to limit their chemical warfare weapons, which they said they never had. They never had them until Russia took over the oversight of it. Now all of a sudden they have them. This is so inherently bad.
It is.
And it is so inherently Obama. This is an administration that continues to look at America as not being exceptional, as not being what we need to be. But you know what? We need to go along to get along. We need to somehow find a way to fit in with the rest of the world. Well, the last time I looked, anytime the world gets in trouble, they look to us for help. We're becoming one of those guys that just never show up for the fight. We stand on the sidelines, hey, have a go at it, and good luck. And, geez, if you get through it, we'll be here for you later on.
Well, you know, it's funny. We had Rich Grinnell on yesterday. He was a spokesman for 4 U.S. ambassadors to the United Nations, including John Bolton. And he said that, he used to think that Obama's foreign policy was just, bad by accident, but now he believes that Obama's goal is to just make us one of the world of nations. Nothing more important, nothing more powerful, just one of the many that fit in.
Yeah, well, you know what? These are people they're globalists. They don't look at America as being exceptional. They look at America as being given too much for too long and enjoying too many good things and not really having to pull their weight. I guess I tell you, for people that don't read history, they better look and see who is it in this last century that has saved the world. It has come out of this country by people coming off their farms and out of factories and out of little towns and big towns to fight for freedom and liberty all over the whole world. We didn't care whose soil we had to go to. We didn't care what oceans we had to go across. We didn't care what we had to do as far as giving up our personal wealth and the health of our people. We have sacrificed 1.4 million men and women in uniform to defend freedom and liberty around the world. And my gosh, for us now to acquiesce and go to the United Nations and say, yeah, we all want to play together. This is a global administration with a global agenda, and from day one, the only thing I would say to the American people, stop being in denial. It is clear after 5 years the direction we are going.
I love your passion, sir. We only have a couple of minutes left. We're talking to Congressman Mike Kelly, Republican from Pennsylvania. If you'd care to weigh in on not real live technical filibuster, but the 23 or 21-hour filibuster by Senator Cruz, and tell me where you think this is all headed.
Well, listen, I think a lot of it is we are doing now the work of the people. I really admire Ted Cruz for what he did last night. Whether you agree with him or don't agree with him, the founders put those tools in the box for us. When we think something's wrong, we can stand up in front of the American people, and they have been longing for people to take their voice to the floor and not take the voice to the floor of an agenda that's being driven by a political party. We can do this as a people. We got to make sure that our voice is heard. This United Nations Arms Trade Treaty is bad for the United States, doesn't get good, gets worse. We've got to stand up. We'll stand up tonight on the floor, myself and about 10 of my colleagues, to speak out against this horrendous piece that we passed today, or we signed today in the UN, and we will make sure that the president understands the ramifications, long range, what this does to the American people.
And of course, Bob Corker, the ranking member of the Foreign Relations Committee, wrote a letter to the president today saying that the Constitution requires the U.S. Senate that provides advice and consent. Right. We have not done so. So basically, you would better not start to implement any parts of this.
Yeah, well, you know what? I really feel glad. I'm glad that the senator did that. But I've also watched here the last couple of years, and really the Constitution and the rule of law doesn't really seem to hold a lot of weight with this administration. So we can say what we want, and we can say they're supposed to defend it. When you can subpoena the Attorney General, the highest officer in the nation for law enforcement, and he doesn't show up, that should send a chilling effect through every American that, you know what, there are people that will play differently. They won't follow the law, the rule of law, and they do believe that there are certain people that are above the law. That's not America, and we're not going to stand for it.
All right, Congressman, a pleasure. I hope you'll come back, sir.
Anytime. Thanks so much for what you're doing, and God bless you.
You too. My pleasure. Congressman Mike Kelly, ladies and gentlemen, from Pennsylvania, very passionate and right on target, I believe, with this treaty. And Bob Corker is right on target as well. But like the congressman said, just because the administration under the Constitution is forbidden from implementing any part of this treaty because it hasn't been ratified by the Senate or there was no advice and consent from the Senate, doesn't mean the Obama administration will follow the law. And when something is the law, they pick and choose what parts of the law they'll follow and what parts they won't follow. This is unprecedented. but it's happening. All right, folks, so we're coming back right here. I'd love to hear from you. 855-777-9660. Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.